Almost half of all of our renewable freshwater flows through rivers. And the human uses of the water in those rivers are enormous. Sometimes we need to find out very specific things about where water moves. And a good example of that is if something spills in the water, if there's a contaminant in the water. You need to know where it is now, you need to know where it's going, you need to know where it will be later on. The Floating Sensor Network is a fleet of floating sensors. It's a waterproof enclosure. It's about this tall. And so it carries water quality sensors for whatever you want to measure. That could be temperature, that could be salinity, that could be some sort of chemical you want to know about. It also carries a GPS receiver so that it knows where it is, and a cell phone so that it can radio its information back to us and tell us where it is. So you can put a fleet of these sensors in the water, and you can watch them move through a river or move through a delta, and all the different ways they go and the different paths they take through the system. And you can watch how the temperature changes, or how the salinity changes, or how the chemical concentration you're interested in changes as the water moves throughout the system. All this data gets sent by these sensors using a cell phone back to a server. And then there's a really interesting process called data assimilation, which is about putting all those pieces of data together, all those little breadcrumb trails of information about the system, and turning it into a single big picture about what the system looks like. Just as you can go online right now and see real-time information about the traffic on the highway you take to work, we want people to be able to go online and see what the conditions are in an important river right now. How is that pollution moving around? How is that salinity moving around? How is this fishery doing right now? The other aspect, though, is emergency response. When something bad happens and we need information quickly and we need it in real time. So an example of that is a contamination spill of some kind, or a natural disaster that breaks levees and starts floods over a wide area. By tracing out the paths that water takes using a floating sensor that keeps track of its location and radios its location back in real time, you can get the information you need. You could assess your vulnerability beforehand. Up until now, doing studies of water has involved setting the sensor up in a very simple way and then using a lot of very sophisticated techniques to use that information. We want to make the sensors smarter, to follow the water, to go where it goes, because we can do a lot more when both sides of the equation are sophisticated.